which makes it a great time to bring in ESPN college football analyst and favorite son of the Big Ten, Joey Galloway. Joey, we're going to start with what I guess is the biggest game. Number 2, Georgia, going to play at number 13, LSU. Do you think the Tigers have any legitimate, real chance of springing an upset tomorrow?
They have a chance because they're talented on the defensive side. We've seen Joe Burrow play some good football, didn't have a great game last week against Florida, so they have a chance for sure. But I am just so happy that finally, and I mean finally, we get to see Georgia play someone. We know they're talented. They just hadn't played anyone. And so Jake Fromm and the running game finally get tested, and it'll be a great test at LSU. And they got 3 more games after this that are pretty tough games, so we'll find out what Georgia is real quick.
All right, let's head out west. You have number 7, Washington, traveling to number 17, Oregon. As we know, Washington's only loss to Auburn. Oregon gives away a game at Stanford. So which one of these teams do you like?
It's interesting, now that we're in this playoff era, what losses and wins start to look like as the season moves on. So Washington loses to Auburn early in the year, which looks like a pretty good loss, right up until Auburn goes and loses to Mississippi State, and they look terrible doing it. Now all of a sudden, it doesn't look so good. And so Stanford knocks off Oregon, and then Stanford, they fall off and take a couple losses, and so now that loss doesn't look very good. The Pac-12 is in trouble. They need a well-played game by 2 of their best teams, and the winner then needs to continue to look good. And we've been sitting there searching for this team and holding out hope for the Pac-12. Well, they just hadn't looked very good this season. And when you look at their favorite, which was Washington coming in, last week they beat UCLA by 7. It makes you a little nervous about the Pac-12.
All right, we'll jump out of the Pac-12 then and go south. Joey, I'm trying to figure out what to think about Texas. After beating Oklahoma, they become a top 10 team. Now they're going to host Baylor. Are you persuaded that Texas can not only be in the top 10 for a while now, but make it to the point where they could be in the conversation for the playoffs?
I am because they cleared the biggest hurdle in the Big 12. Doesn't look like it right now because TCU just took another loss, but they've already beat TCU. And so when you think Big 12 football, you think TCU, Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas has gone through that stretch. Texas is a team that you really actually have to watch them play, because if you just watch highlights, they're not a highlight reel type of team. And so you might hear that they won, but you don't get those big flashy plays that make them attractive. They'll be in the conversation if they continue to win. They need to get to the Big 12 championship game and maybe get a chance to see Oklahoma again and beat them, and we'll have something to talk about.
All right, we got 2 big-name programs with 2 new coaches, and they've yet to win. You got Scott Frost at Nebraska, Chip Kelly at UCLA. Now, is this an adjustment period for these programs, or do you think both programs may have some serious issues?
It's an adjustment period for sure. Now, we're talking about going to programs that weren't very good when they showed up. Scott Frost has an uphill battle. And when he took the job at Nebraska, the first thing I thought was, it is so tough to recruit at Nebraska because there's not many players in state. And because Nebraska is now in the Big Ten, there's just not a natural rivalry game to sell to recruits. And I believe the difference between NFL and college football is rivalry games. And that's what you preach to these kids. That's what you take them to when they come visit you. And who in the world does Nebraska tell kids, hey, here's who we get to go play? Nobody. UCLA, Chip Kelly, we're going to see if he can, because he was on the cutting edge of the offensive, the quarterbacks that could run and get people out in space and going fast. And now everyone does it. So now he's going to have to take another step and change up. They're not very good. When you watch UCLA play, they're just not very talented. Now, in college, it takes a couple years to get recruiting going. But as you guys know, we are not very patient when it comes to coaching nowadays. You get maybe 2 years before you get on the hot seat, and it's almost time to go.
All right, we'll go from the struggling to the dominant for this last question for you, Joey. Number 1, Alabama, hosting Missouri. I don't think we think much of that matchup, but Tua Tagovailoa has a knee sprain. Is this even a game he has to play? Can Nick Saban look at Tua and say, no, you're going to have a bye week this week? Would you expect it to go that far, Joey?
Well, Bon, this is a game that you could play quarterback for Alabama. There is no concern here. And it is funny to think, though, honestly, and I was joking when I said this, we haven't seen Tua play a whole game anyhow. He won a national championship playing half a game. We haven't seen him play in the second half this year. We actually, and this is crazy, we don't know if Alabama can finish. let's say they get into a 4-quarter game, we've not seen their starters go into the second half yet. It could get interesting if someone finally pushes them. They might not be in shape for all we know, but this game won't be a concern.
Joey, thank you. Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. We appreciate it. And you can catch Joey Galloway tomorrow on College Football Final. We're going to take one last break, but still to come. How concerned should the Packers be about Aaron Rodgers' knee setback?
And is Usain Bolt, remember him? Is he making a legit transition to soccer? The world game, Michael Wilbon.
I know it is. Hey, look, we got to keep Nebraska winless tomorrow because they're in Evanston, which is why I'm halfway to Evanston. I don't want Nebraska shaken out of anything tomorrow.
Congratulations, Scott Frost. You got your first win.
Hey.
When I was shopping for car insurance, the choice was